Introduced in 2011, the Nike Tiempo Legend 4 Elite represented a huge step forward in technology for the Tiempo lineup, including flywire, carbon fiber sole plate, which we'll get into in a minute, and it's one of my all-time favorite Tiempos and favorite Tiempo colorways. Let's jump into the unboxing. The Nike Elite series all came in really nice boxes. Instead of the normal orange or silver where you kind of open the box up, these came with a full off cover or top, basically. Big Nike football logoing there on the top, and pretty simple other than the size here, which is the Tiempo Legend 4 Elite in firm ground. These are a 9.5. So for both the Tiempo Legend 5, which you can see behind me in the Ronaldinho edition and in the Totti edition, both of those boots I also go up half a size. So the Tiempo Legend 4, the Tiempo Legend 5, both elite and non-elite, and then of course the Magista Obra 1 and 2 are Nike boots that I always go up half a size in. So these are a UK 8.5, Euro 43, and a 27.5 centimeters. Just the best fit in terms of what I need. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, these are absolutely beautiful, and they have been not even touched. These are absolutely brand new. Look at that leather. Oh my days. The crazy part is these aren't even a special edition pair. These are just the normal Tiempo Legend 4 Elite. And this leather quality is absolutely outrageous. I would say this rivals the Ronaldinho Tiempo Legend 5, which is pretty amazing. Now, for obvious reasons, if you can or can't see, if you can't see, these are a all-white pair of Tiempo Legend 4 Elites with an beautiful emerald green swoosh, emerald detailing here in the heel area, and then of course the carbon fiber plate with the emerald accents on the stud. So a white and green Tiempo Legend 4 Elite. Absolutely sensational. So as I take these out, we can also see that there it comes with it. Well, first of all, the gray laces, which by the way were an addition. These are still on there, believe it or not, and they basically match the silver of the tongue. So ideally, my goal is to wear these until the point, well, I probably won't wear them a whole lot, but I do actually want to take these out and do a session in them. And basically when the white laces get dirty, you can always put the gray in, and then it makes it look kind of contrasty and cool as well. You can also see that we get the OG box style or lunchbox style with these big zipper, and then that opens up and you can put your boots in there. One of the coolest Nike bags ever to be produced, and I really wish they would continue with this style of bag instead of the string bag, because I just think these are a lot cooler looking. Now let's throw this out of the way, and we'll put this guy, where do we want to go? Right here maybe. And there you go. Okay, so Tiempo Legend 4 Elite. So the upper construction of the Tiempo Legend 4 is premium kangaroo leather. This was when the Tiempo was still riding high on K-leather, which is very obvious from this absolutely beautifully stitched forefoot. And then they also combined this in terms of an upgrade in technology with the flywire cables, which you can kind of see if I tilt the boot a little bit, you can sort of see the flywire cables that direction and that direction, very much following a similar construction to these boots, which are of course the Superfly 3s. So these are, you can see the flywire going that way, and you can see the flywire going that way as well. And they basically put flywire between the mesh liner, which touches the sock or your foot inside, and then in between the mesh liner and the K leather upper, or on the outside of the upper. So you've got these flywire cables, which basically made for a boot that had all of the lockdown of a Superfly essentially, but with the softness and pliableness of a leather football boot. Pretty genius if you ask me. They also put in a carbon fiber sole plate, which was of course an upgrade from the regular Tiempo Legend 4, although this was identical in terms of the stud layout and stud shape, very similar to Tiempo Legend 5 as well, which I absolutely love, and that's pretty much conical studs all around the lateral and medial sides, with the two bladed studs there in the forefoot for a little bit more aggressiveness moving forward. Now the Elite series was announced in 2010, I believe, and for the World Cup of 2010 in South Africa. I actually used to have a pair of this colorway, the 2010 World Cup color, in the Nike Tiempo Legend 3 Elite, which was a Kangalite upper. This, of course, went back to the combination of the Flywire and the technology, but with the K-leather upper. The normal Tiempo Legend 4 just had a full K-leather upper, and I actually wore those quite a bit with the same sole plate, just without it being carbon fiber. So it had a little bit less responsiveness, of course, and all that as well. This was supposed to reduce weight and increase responsiveness, and the advancement kind of contributes to this boot status as one of the lightest boots of the lightest Tiempo at the time, approximately 20 grams lighter than the predecessor, which was the Tiempo Legend 3 Elite. Now, in terms of performance enhancements, there was the vamp stitching here in the forefoot, which was really nice and basically provided some lateral support, maintained the leather shape, preventing overstretching and ensuring like some consistent performance. And I found that to be the case on the normal Tiempo Legend 4 Elite, or Tiempo Legend 4, I guess, as well as this Elite model. And funny story, this is actually a boot that I have always wanted, but never got a chance to buy a pair. I had the Tiempo Legend 3 Elites, and then of course I had the Tiempo Legend 5s, but I only was able to get my hands on the normal Tiempo Legend 4. So this is an absolute dream football boot for me. I love these. Not only the color is incredible, but this was a boot I always wanted because I loved the Tiempo Legend 4. It was a boot I wore for, I think, a season and a half almost, which is really cool as well. Now, building on previous models, the Tiempo Legend 3 Elite, which I mentioned before, introduced the Kangalite upper. So I'll actually grab this version. So this is obviously a different colorway, but this is the Tiempo Legend 3 Elite. So the Tiempo Legend 3 Elite was a full synthetic leather, and obviously, as you might imagine, the synthetic leather on the Kangalite, the original Kangalite, was pretty poor in comparison to modern day standards. I mean, you look at the Asics DS Lite X-Fly 5 limited edition, you have the Messia 50, you have the Scudetta, you have the Asics DS Lite X-Fly Pro 3 with, I'm forgetting the name of the material now, which is a shame because it's amazing. Silky Wrap. Those are all fake leather materials, right? Kangalite was kind of the first one to come out with that it was one of the first synthetic leather materials, and it was very stiff. Yeah, it performed okay, and I loved my pair of World Cup Tiempo Legend 3 Elites, but in terms of performance and stuff, it's much better that they went with more of a high-performing lateral stability boot that actually still had the comfort of regular leather. So in terms of shape and overall design, you can see quite some similarities in terms of swoosh placement, in terms of, heel shape and area were fairly similar. The sole plate is obviously identical, moving from those two different boots, and then of course the uppers are completely different materials. Now, the regular Tiempo Legend 3 carried K-leather just like the Tiempo Legend 4 and 4 Elite do, but in terms of upgrades, it was a massive upgrade from this previous generation with the synthetic leather. Now, it really did emphasize a balance between technology and comfort and performance. It's one of those boots that just does both super well. I would say modern day interpretations of these don't quite have the same amount of outward-facing technology necessarily, but I think a lot of boots nowadays are still trying to emulate what this does. I think boots like, I would say, the Mizuno Morelia DNA, right, takes the speed boot sole plate from the Mizuno Morelia Neo 4 and Neo 4 Beta with the upper and the beautiful K-leather from the Morelia 2. That's combining performance and, of course, comfort. There are other boots like the DS Lite X-Fly Pro 3 that are also in that camp, I think, as well. Even though they are a synthetic leather, it very much feels like leather, plus some of the speed boot elements that you get from the Morelia Neo 4 and Neo 4 Beta. So this really was, in my opinion, one of those boots that just was the perfect combination of all those things, and I'm really excited to get these out on pitch and see what they are like to train in. And yes, you might be yelling at me in the comments, but they're my football boots, so don't say to me. Let's go play with them. All right, as promised, I'm a little nervous about this, but yes, we are out here with the Tiempo Legend 4 Elite. This is a grail boot for me, but you know me, I am a huge, huge, huge fan of wearing your football boots. So without further ado, we are going to try not to absolutely destroy these, and this will be a little bit quicker than probably other play tests just because I actually want to take care of these, and I would love to wear them on a firm ground pitch, but I just don't have access to one right this second. So as you can see, these fit me absolutely perfectly. These are a 9.5 US. This is when Nike used to put the gigantic sizing up on the inside of the tongue. I'll show you that in just a second. No runner's knot on these, although I might consider it at some point. I do feel like an extra runner's knot right there would be really helpful. And the only thing you have to think about is that that runner's knot, every other lace loop from here all the way down to there is where the fly wire cables are on the midfoot. The two front lace loops don't have that. And then, oh, also here's the sizing. See how it has the little 9.5 there in the huge, it looks absolutely massive, which is cool. But these are a boot I am, they are new. The Elite model is new to me, but the Tiempo Legend 4 is a boot that I wore meticulously for like 2 years in my youth playing career because I think they're absolutely fabulous. They're a wonderful pair of football boots. They were wonderful then, they're wonderful now, and they really are sort of the personification of what a Tiempo is. But these just look absolutely sensational. So without further ado, let's jump into a little bit of footwork, shall we? And kind of evaluate this carbon fiber plate, which, to be honest, is pretty outdated at this point. This is one of those, yeah, okay. So it is pretty springy. It does have definitely a little bit of something to it, but it isn't anywhere close to, let's say, the Carvo, which I realize Carvo isn't actual carbon fiber, but it's pretty, I don't know, there's something to it, but it very much is, it very much feels like you're running on a carbon plate as opposed to running on, let's say, a really nice cushioned bed with the benefits of a carbon fiber plate. Sort of a difference there. And the beautiful part about these boots is that they're just they're just the epitome of what Tiempo is. They're comfortable. They've got a great touch on the ball. The midfoot definitely feels a little bit less premium. And I know that's going to sound weird. It's more technologically advanced, obviously, with the flywire cables. But this is definitely, this is definitely a midfoot that feels more tech focused as opposed to comfort focused, which at the end of the day, that's going to be up to you to decide which one suits you better. I think having the flywire really does add to the overall cutting experience. Like, you feel really locked in as you turn, as you pivot, as you make even little kind of shuffles side to side, but without losing sort of the benefit of the K leather, which on this particular Elite model is absolutely fantastic. There's also a reason why this stud pattern in particular, because this is the same stud pattern that was on the Tiempo Legend 3 and regular 4. And I mean, it's so, like, even though this is technically firm ground, the balance and just the general kind of, like, you have good pivot power, you've got really, really nice stability throughout the entirety of the stud pattern is fantastic. And for obvious reasons, like, the pinginess that you get from this upper is just absolutely fabulous. It's really, yeah, nice. It's very, very good. It's really true K leather experience, and it's pretty untreated as well. There's no kind of BS on it, which is awesome. And I just, oh man, the boots are already molding to my foot straight away. It's like quintessential Tiempo leather football boots. I love it. So what happens then in comparison to every other boot on the market if Nike recreates this exact model? And then, so I want to compare it in its current form, and then what would I do to this boot to make it quote unquote better. So if this exact model were to come out today, it would obviously be better than the current Tiempo 10 in, I would say, every way except for the heel. The heel on, no, actually, I disagree. The heel area on this one is better too. So, nice. That one, better than Tiempo 10, better than Puma King. Compared to Adidas models, this is not, it doesn't feel as high tech as Copa Pure 3, and I know that sounds crazy, but Copa Pure 3 just feels like a really nice cohesive package, even though I'll take this any day. So that's Copa Pure 3. Let's go on to next drill and we'll talk about like Mizuno and some of the other Adidas boots. Okay, so comparison to Gloro 2, this is definitely much more premium, despite the Gloro feeling, oh, I was trying to whip that, like cross the body kind of. Gloro 2, I mean, this will wipe the floor with Gloro 2. Icon 2, the new one, is pretty fantastic in my opinion. So from a weight perspective, they're not even close. Like Icon 2 actually is a lot lighter than these ones are. So if that matters to you, then fair enough. It's not gonna make you better or faster or anything, but if it matters to you, I don't know. And then as far as Mizuno models go, like, no, these aren't. Oh, we're gonna do that again. I need to re-angle this bloody center forward. Hey, as far as Mizuno models go, I would say this leather is probably on par with their Mizuno Elite models. So on par with like, you know, Copa Pure 3, etc. Like top end, obviously MIJ stuff, made in Japan stuff is in a whole league of its own. So that's, ooh, Knuckle City. That's obviously a whole different conversation. And in terms of leather quality, these don't hold a candle to those. TLSS is maybe between those two, and Adler is obviously like a tier above TLSS, but maybe, yeah, in the same camp as Mizuno. So in terms of leather boots, I mean, if this exact boot were to come out today, it'd be a little on the heavy side, but from a tech perspective and just like an overall look perspective, I think you put these in the top maybe 5 to 7 leather boots on the market, top 5 maybe, which is pretty crazy. So 5 to 7, top 5. It's probably top 5, honestly, if you were to bring this out today. So now with that said, what would I change about it? I would make the heel area suede, first of all, and kind of bring the heel area maybe tapered in a little bit. So similar to, I'd slap like an Asics heel area on there. And then I would update the carbon fiber sole plate, because I think although it is really snappy and it does feel really cool underfoot, it is pretty, it's like running on an old pair of super shoes, like marathon shoes that you've worn down all the foam, and it's just like, it almost feels kind of harsh on your feet. Even though it's responsive, it just feels like it's beating the crap out of you. That's kind of what these feel like. I'm sure they'd be great on firm ground, like on regular grass, but that's what I would say. So I'd say update the carbon plate, but I'd still make it, yeah, there it is. I'd still make it a full carbon plate. Let's do one more, just cuz. And so full carbon plate, updated heel area, and then I'd probably say that although it looks really cool, I don't know if you need this many flywire cables. I think you accomplish the goal of the flywire cables just by having maybe 1 or 2 in specific areas, similar to where the internal cage on Vapor 15 was, right? So if we look at the up close and personal camera right here, so maybe you make
fly wire here, fly wire from here across up to there, and then you make one like across and up the heel area or something, just so it like, just kind of locked in the midfoot, and then maybe make it a little bit less overkill. Because there are, I mean, there's like 4 fly wire cables per lace hole. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. There's 20 on either side, which is like kind of a lot. So I would say update the fly wire cables, make it a little bit more modern feeling, and yeah, and shave off whatever weight you can. Those are really the things that I would do to it. And obviously we have to do the crossbar challenge, given this is a Tiempo. If you aren't familiar and you're not old enough, the Ronaldinho commercial from like 2000, was it 2002, 2003? With Tiempo, was it Tiempo 1, Tiempo 2? Yep, get in. Is that gonna spin back into the goal? No, it's not, bummer. Okay, 1 out of 1. But man, these boots are like, come on. Oh, let's go, let's go. All right, let's jump into the conclusion. Come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tiempo Legend 4 Elite review coming to an end. I feel like 2 crossbars in a row for the first time ever on the channel. No, surely I've hit it twice before. I don't even remember the last time I hit them both. Needless to say, this is a grail football boot of mine. It is from an era of football boots that was just amazing in terms of tech and in terms of all the hype around them and the marketing, and it was like Nike's glory days. And a boot like this is simply sensational. Like it's everything I want it to be. Obviously I'm already starting to rip the insole, and by ripping the insole, I mean just the emerald, this like emerald coating is like coming off already, which is why I didn't do a full play test on these, because they are pretty fragile. And although I do think that most of the glue will hold up over time because this is an elite model, so my assumption is that this will actually last quite a long time. It's definitely something that if I'm gonna play in these for a longer extended period of time, I would put a new insole in, and I'd just be like, okay, we'll just throw a modern day insole in there, maybe make it a little bit more padded so it's less harsh on your feet. But this carbon plate is fantastic. It feels really good. As I said though, it is quite harsh on your feet, and so it is a sole plate that I would really only play on FG on. I realize this is an AG pitch. I've just done a whole playtest on AG, but I do think this is a boot that I would probably exclude. Well, I will only exclusively play on FG. If I get invited to one of those influencer soccer games at some point, at like Old Trafford or the Emirates or something, I'd probably wear these. I think this is the boot that I would pick. Or Hypervenom 3, because that's like my favorite boot ever. So it's gonna be one or the other probably. So yeah, in conclusion, guys, I am really, really, really excited about these. I'm stoked, hard work paying off. Thanks to y'all for watching. And these will be placed gently in my boot wall so that y'all can enjoy it in every future video. All right, guys, that is it for the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 70% of you watching aren't subscribed, which is crazy. It's free. So just go ahead and do that. Really appreciate it. It means a lot. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.